What would you choose, success or fame?
Success. Fame will follow.
Name your favorite genres of music.
Hip-hop and English retro.
Your most memorable time on stage.
When I performed in front of 15,000 people at IIT Roorkee.
Are you a risk taker or an easy goer?
Risk taker, any day.
What would you choose, family or career?
Family, because I think if family is there, then career shouldn't be a problem. It'll just go with the flow. When you're at peace at home, then everything works well outside.
What makes two tracks a good fit? Tempo or the lyrics?
Both.
Hello, welcome again to the Make You Happen show. As you know, we've been bringing personalities to you who have done pioneering work in different walks of life, and they've been sharing their success journeys and stories with us. You know, one of the conflicts between the generations nowadays has been, wanting to do what you love versus taking up conventional careers or conventional jobs. And today we have someone with us who chose a very, very unconventional career and has made a great success of herself. DJ Paroma, welcome to the Make You Happen show.
Thank you. I'm absolutely honored to be a part of this show. And I'm very excited for what happens next.
So introducing DJ Paroma in a little greater detail, she's just won the All India Best DJ Award 2019 from Aspiring She.
Yes.
She won the Wow Asia Award for Best Female DJ in 2018. She's been on IPL, I think in 2014.
That's right.
2 times she has been a jury at Saregamapa. She's been conducting Radio City 91.1 Saturday night DJ shows for everyone, all India, for some time now.
Yep.
So, DJ Paroma, that's a lot of achievement.
Thank you.
And I must say that as a female DJ, unconventionality kind of, pops out, when we kind of speak about you. Would you share some story about you? Is this unconventionality only after your DJ years, or were you also like that before those years?
I think my journey has been full of it all this while. Starting from me dropping off in my 12th grade, and just giving up on studies, and not because there was a desperate need as such. It was just a call from within that I just wanted to be independent as soon as possible. I've seen a very rough childhood, and nothing has fallen in place, like depending on how a child needs to bud in a family or the surroundings. Basically, it wasn't there wasn't a very positive vibe from home. I chose to just quit studies, and I said, what's the easiest that I can do? And I said maybe hospitality, because I think my English was okay and I was presentable enough. And I chose to join an institute and do a diploma in hotel management and hospitality overall. And in 7 months after I got through an airline, which was actually my first interview, I came back home and I was so excited. I told my family that, yay, I've gotten like the first interview of my life and I've gotten through and I must take it up and all that. And they clearly said a no to me. They're like, you can't work there. I said, why? They're like, no, because you still have some more time to finish your diploma and just go ahead with it. I'm sure there'll be more opportunities. I was so upset. That was not the kind of reaction I was expecting when I was coming back home from a successful interview. And I said, okay, theek hai, fine, we'll see how it goes. Soon after that, I got through Jet Airways. And that's when I realized that, yeah, maybe the decision of not joining the previous airline was really good. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. I flew with Jet as a cabin crew for about 5 years, which was more of international flying. And I gained a lot of experience from there and learned a lot in terms of situation handling, in terms of clarity and diction, basically, because I was the one chosen to make announcements on my flights when it came to English and Hindi both. And which helps me a lot in my miking skills now. So that's something that's helped me a lot. Situation handling when it came to, mainly handling drunken passengers, which is again a very common situation in my current, profession. It did help me a lot. In 5 years, basically, I went places, I partied a lot, I saw lots of different cultures, I got to experience a lot of different cultures, hear different kinds of music, meet a lot of people, and until I made a decision of quitting flying because I wasn't seeing a direction there. When I used to come back home, it used to only be like veg, non-veg, tea, coffee running in my head, and I said, I'm not about this. My brain needs a lot more exercising, and I think I'm capable enough. And in that time, I think in about 4 years into flying, I lost my father. And I was abroad, and that situation wasn't really well handled by the airline as such, or maybe at that point of time, there was a lot of hierarchy that had to be, followed for me to exit a country and come back home, which didn't really happen well. So after that, I just lost my interest in flying. And I said, yes, I'm settled very well financially. I know investments are happening, my personal savings are there, I'm taking care of my home, but my heart is not happy, and I don't want to go like upset and depressed to my workplace and come back again crying from my workplace thinking, what am I even doing with myself? So I decided one fine day, I just figured out all possible information, and I left my home with all my manuals, my licenses, my uniform, my bags. And I decided when I step out and I come back home, I do not want to be associated with any airline or anything, with the aviation industry. I got a lot of opportunities from Emirates and Etihad and various other international airlines, but obviously I didn't want to leave my mother and go anywhere. So that was the end of my flying career.
I want to stop you there
Yeah.
because at 12th you decided that, you'll not pursue further education, and then you got into
Yep.
airline, and then in 5 years now you're giving up the airline.
Right.
Where do you go? And because of your mom, you want to stay with her.
Yeah, and honestly, even when I became a cabin crew, parents weren't very open and free enough to let their daughters be a cabin crew then, which is, I started flying in 2006. So they were very shy, and they were like, oh no, my daughter can't go away, and stay away from home for days together, and it's not safe, and you meet so many different people. What if something just, happens, or what if she just decides to get married or falls in love, and, like that kind of a mentality. And it was unconventional then, basically, when I started flying. And then obviously now it's like I'm still continuing. I don't know what more does life have for me. Then yeah, obviously I quit flying and I tried 2 different industries, which was retail and client servicing as such. Didn't work out. I was out of both the places in 3 months each because I just knew it's not for me. One place there was no respect. The other place there was no work. So I reached this juncture of life where I was so confused. I just did not know what to do with myself. Yeah. Then I said enough. I need to take a break and figure out mentally and emotionally where does my heart exactly lie. And if I can, do something which keeps me happy, then the finances will come and go. I realized I was running only behind money. That's why I kept making wrong choices. Seriously. And I said, no, this is not happening. Let me just take up something where I feel good from within. And I've always been associated with music. I've always loved music all my life. Basically, out of these two industries, when I was done, I said, let me try my hands in DJing. So I learned DJing, and I never actually thought I would actually be one.
So what did you do to become a DJ? Obviously it would have been very challenging.
Oh yes.
I mean, even today, DJ is not like
It
one of the
continues to be a
sought-after-
challenge. I did a course, and I fared very well at the end of the course. And my instructor clearly told me on the last day that my help from you is until here. And from tomorrow onwards, you're all by yourself. And you figure out what you want to do or who you want to talk to, and you're all by yourself in the industry. If you can find someone to help you, great. But if you can't, just understand that you're on your own. I actually realized that day that, yeah, I have friends, but I don't know if I would actually get some help. My profile was empty because I had not played anywhere. And the first thing people used to ask me was, can we have your profile? I said, I will make one, but what do I put in it? Like, it's just going to be blank. I took about a year to figure out who to talk to and where to go, and I used to ask my friends, can I stand behind the console with you just to see, what you're doing? And I would just go to places, not to party, but just to hear what the DJ is playing. And I still remember the days when I used to send out at least 100, 125 emails to event organizers, to managers, to owners of places, saying that I've just completed a course and let me know if I could come perform for you someday.
These are the times when people actually give up easily, and people give up a lot. And especially when they're trying to do something new, when they've given up things, when they're not doing something that's conventionally, accepted. So if you could share, how did you keep yourself motivated?
See, I mean, when I did the course, my mom, she's very broad-minded that way. She's never had like an issue with me doing anything at all. She was a little concerned when it came to the finances. And she's like, okay, you have some savings now, but how long are they going to last? And what's the plan? So I just told her, give me 2 years. If it doesn't work out, I will take a step back myself. So I had literally given myself a deadline. Ki, even if she wouldn't have said that, I would have anyways, because I am not someone, I don't believe in wasting time when I know something is not working out, but I also believe in giving it a try.
Right.
Why not? So I broke the bond, I did a photo shoot, and then I started using the pictures, and within, I think, after I put up the sets and I used my pictures and a little bit of the gig pictures that we used to have, the gigs that used to happen at the club, I got a call for Chennai. That was my first gig for Christmas Eve. That was 24th December 2011. And I remember that meant a lot to me. I went there, I did the gig, obviously very nervous because it's a different city. And so that was, after that it just kept rolling from there on, but that 1 year was definitely very, very challenging. I had people come up to me and tell me that it's a man's job and what are you going to do? This has no future for you. Do women even play at nightclubs? And you're going to be playing for a bunch of people who are not in their senses, and you're going to come back home late, and what is this? Like, a lot of verbal bashing used to happen then emotionally, but I stopped. I just started giving it a deaf ear in some time. And
Having gone through all that experience, okay, and then you're saying that after the first gig, the others actually kept flowing.
yeah.
So you must be doing something right.
Yeah, that's also a thought that came to my mind. I said, I must be doing something right. That's why everything is slowly falling in place.
So what do you think are those qualities, or what is it that you're actually bringing, you think that, that actually brought in? Was it referral only, or did you keep marketing and sending mailers?
I continued that even for the next 1 year that followed after I started doing freelancing, until it was good enough for the word of mouth to spread and the market and the industry knew that there's an upcoming DJ who is who plays well or whatever. I don't know what was the word that went around, but I started getting a lot of respect and a lot of name for myself, a lot of work. And then obviously the television shows happened, which gave me immense fan following, because I ensured that I went on those shows as DJ Paroma and not Paroma Chatterjee, and that basically helped me, it just cross marketed my brand name. And I think I didn't give up in that 1 year. That 1 year was where my foundation lay, and it was very critical. If I did not have the patience, or if I was very impulsive and fast in my head that, oh no, it's not happening, it's not working, I need to look for something else. And I did a course not because I wanted to give up. I did a course because I did not want to keep DJing as a hobby. I get that a lot of times. People ask me, why won't you just keep DJing as a hobby and do something parallelly, like a full-time thing? I said it would not work for me, because I wouldn't give 100% to this and I won't give 100% to that. And then what, at the end of the day, I'm just earning money, and then again I come back to where I was earlier, not happy. And that's not, if I'm giving 100% to DJing, I need like 2 years flat only with DJing. So determination, patience, not being impulsive, respect to give and to take, and a lot of hard work.
If you can speak a little bit about your craft or art, as you call it, and you just said that you wanted to give your 100%. So, of course, the actual DJ work, is only when, there are gigs. So, what do you mean? So, there are two questions here I'm asking, actually. One is, what is it of your art and craft, that people are finding or people find so satisfying, which is earning you respect? And the second question really is that, how do you spend the other party time?
Right.
What do you actually do in terms of upskilling, if I may call it, or staying at the top, staying there kind of?
Yeah. So now answering your first question, I think as a DJ, there are some very basic skills that you need to have for you to just be a good DJ. That will include your technical skills, where you know how to correctly beat match 2 tracks, which if you don't, then you get an instant response from the crowd. They'll just look back at you and they're like, what the hell are you even doing? You'll instantly get that if you're not mixing right. So that is one. Secondly, your track selection is very important, because that will vary from gig to gig, because of the crowd profile that you have or the kind of people that you get. The third thing would be your interaction with the crowd. The way you mic, what you talk, when you talk, it all matters. And the fourth thing is the energy that you have behind the console, because in a gig, the crowd throws energy at you and you give your energy to the crowd. It definitely goes 2 ways. Either of them, if they're going down, it instantly affects the other person. Instantly. So if these 4 things are in place, then you definitely can be a good DJ. But apart from that, I also believe in, every time I go to a gig, I give like half an hour, 45 minutes to myself to go to a venue and study the crowd. Like I said, every gig has different kinds of people. So if I get the vibe, if I see the way the crowd is going, and if I hear what the DJ is playing, the DJ is obviously the resident DJ there, and he plays every day or twice, thrice a week. So his crowd knows the music that he plays. But for them to bring in a guest DJ means that they want to try out some different variety and give a different taste, to the crowd. So again, experimenting comes into picture there. So I would love to not play what he's playing, but at the same time maybe give it a little bit of a touch to what he's playing, so that there's a balance that's happening between people who want to hear the same kind of music and not. So
not be too far out and yet...
Yeah, and that comes out of experience, I think. Like it's very difficult for someone who's just entered into the industry and a couple of years or months into the field would not know these finer aspects of how you could have a good gig. Well, I'm not saying that I have a good gig always. I have a bad gig too sometimes, and I think that's very important for you to have a bad gig, because that kind of keeps you grounded. Like if I'm being called at the same place, maybe if I'm coming there the third time, the first time rocking, the second time amazing, the third time I'm thinking it will be amazing, but it turns out a big flop. And that is when you shouldn't be overconfident about yourself and just have treat every gig as a new gig, even if you're going to the same place. Right. Because the crowd there may be different, or you may be in a different mood. When we fly, there's an airline that writes on the door. It says that leave all your worries behind, and like for the captains basically, leave all your worries behind, because you're handling a lot of lives once you go inside. I think it's the same principle that sticks to a DJ, in their profession. When you go up to that console, leave everything behind. Forget, but people are not bothered about what your personal problems are or what you're going through in life. You just have that stipulated time with them, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, or whatever is your set timing. Make sure that you give them the best, because this is where you will be called back again, and this is where people will have good things to speak about you once you leave that console. So I think that makes you a good DJ. Just have the right kind of attitude towards the people who have made you something from nothing. And well, when I'm not DJing, I do a lot of things. Like I have my studio and I produce my remixes. Out of it, some are official. They are up on television and they are played on different radio channels. And they are up on the actual music labels on YouTube, basically, on their channels. I don't have a manager. Well, I don't want to have a manager, let me put it that way. I have a lot of inquiries that come in from people who want to manage me, but I'm so scared of giving my baby or my brand away to someone who might not treat it the same way I've treated my brand. And like with years, I've built a relationship with my clientele. Some have become friends, some I still have a very professional connect with them, but they're still my clients. And I don't know what the other person who will come on board do with my clients just for the sake of earning a few bucks. And that's not what I'm ready for. I love to manage myself. And then obviously, keeping my music updated for my gigs, that's another task, I mean, there's so much to do actually, we just think that there's a lot of free time, but my free time just slips by like that. I also love to take care of my mother at home and do a few things here and there for her and for the home and all that.
Yeah, so. But from what you're saying, about your profession, to continue over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have to love, right? So
definitely.
Would you say that, people who don't really love,
yeah,
that should not actually venture into something like DJing as a career?
See, it depends, Now, sometimes you fall, like arranged marriage, you fall in love after you're married. So this might happen after you take up the profession. You might take up the profession keeping in mind that, it has a lot of money, it will give me a lot of glamour, I'll be up on billboards and artworks and people will come for a gig by my name and all of that. But eventually I know some people who have fallen in love with the profession after they've started DJing. So that could also happen, as long as you love what you're doing. I mean, just don't treat it because you are there for a reason. You've been chosen for that night for a reason. There are so many DJs in the industry, and the client has not gone for those DJs and come to you and has asked you to perform for them and give them a special experience. So respect that, respect that and be true to that. And if you can do it out of love and passion, money will follow.
So Paroma, what would you say are the high points of your success? Would you say, it was the IPL, the TV shows, when your fan following jumped?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It goes without saying. in 2014 when Sony approached me, actually Sony didn't approach me directly. There was an agency that was involved in between, and I got a random text on Facebook. And you won't believe it, the previous year there was another DJ doing the show, and I really wanted to be a part of that show after that. I said, Ki, I don't know if she's like someone who's fixed with them, or would they look for a change, or... So this thing just came to me out of nowhere, and I really thought it was a prank, because you get some silly messages on Facebook sometimes which have no meaning, and people just want to bother others. And so I didn't take it very seriously. I just said, yeah, okay, I will be interested, but how do we take this ahead? They're like, no, we'll have this discussion in detail with the team, and we'll send you a contract if everything is okay. So we discussed, everything, and the contract actually came to me in like 4 days, and it had, it came from on a letterhead of the associated agency and the channel and everything. And I couldn't believe, they just wanted one meeting with the channel before we finalized things, and that happened. So I clearly remember my fan following. That time I had no Instagram account. So I don't even think Instagram was there. I don't know, in 2014. I don't think it was. It was at 42 odd thousand when IPL happened. And so the best part was that I was a part of extra innings that happens in the studio and not at the stadium. And that is where, because if you're playing at the stadium, they have no exposure to the DJ, it's all focused on the match and all of that. But when you're a part of extra innings, then the extra innings itself is a show, in itself, and they give a lot of importance to whoever is in the studio. And I had so much of footage and exposure on TV where Gaurav Kapoor is basically chatting up with me, and Sameer Kochar is having a few conversations with me. Navjot Singh Sidhu comes and, we just fool around a bit here and there. And I've come outside on the stage and, danced and given out selfies and thrown a shairi at Sidhuji. And it was amazing, such a beautiful experience. And I had such a lot of following after that, such a lot of following that I really became, even today people message me and tell me that we would watch the show only because you were a part of it. It reached 1,95,000 by the end of the 45 days, and after that obviously Saregamapa happened, and I was a jury member on 2 of their seasons. So that again was a very big boost to my following. So these were definitely, I don't know too many DJs. One DJ obviously has done IPL before me. So, but 3 television shows and with so much exposure. So these are definitely my turning points and high points in terms of success, and giving me a lot of following and fans and everything. So yeah.
So now from this, as they say, from the top, where do you go then? Okay, so from these high points, how do you see yourself?
See, I didn't really do anything. So I believe in one thing very firmly, that I don't ever have a plan for myself. I have never, ever, ever had a plan. I didn't plan to be here. I didn't even plan to be a DJ. It was never a part of my plan. It just happened. Like, if you go to think about it, if I was happy being a cabin crew, I would have still been in the aviation industry, still been doing what I did. If retail, caught my attention, then I would have probably, grown up the ladder and gotten into the corporate scene, if I would have taken a lot of interest in retail or client servicing for that matter. DJing just happened out of nowhere, and I'm here today. I don't know what exactly life has in store for me in the future. I have done nothing to be on the top. I have just been true to myself. I have done nothing, literally nothing. Maybe a lot of others do what I'm doing, but it's just, I think the approach has to be right. You have to have the right kind of attitude. Like I said earlier, you have to stay grounded and not forget where you came from and who were the people around you when you started off. And primarily, I think it's a lot of respect for yourself as to who you are. Helped me come where I, reached at this point and, bring me here. I also focus a lot on myself and be least bothered about the others in the industry, actually. And that is somewhere, that is where you get confused, and you're like, okay, he's doing this, she's doing that, I should try that, and then that is not meant for you, but you're still trying hard and making an effort to be like someone, or there's a thin line between inspiration and trying to be someone. So that is where people actually get confused, and then it all just goes haywire in the head and you lose focus. So I think these are the few things that has helped me just remain on top, if that's what you want to say. That's not something that I would say. I think it's just the love that I've received and the respect I've received from people that has got me here.
Yeah. So Paroma, you say that, you stay focused on what you want to do, on what you want to love, and that has actually brought you where you are, okay? But don't you have any vision about yourself? Is it just living day on day, or do you have some kind of, let's say, visualization?
Obviously, I want to be associated with the music industry for the longest time ever, since I have given so many years of, everything for, even if it's DJing, it's still the music industry. I always wanted to be a brand. I didn't just want to be a DJ. I wanted to be a performer, and I didn't just want to be an artist. Right. So I just wanted to basically be an all-rounder and just try and, put my hands into everything that I can.
Oh, makes sense.
Why not?
You're talking of extending yourself
yeah,
more and more, right?
There's always, I think you should always give yourself a push and try out things, venture out and see if something works for you. If something doesn't, fair enough. But, that whole regret and the guilt that you didn't try is what I don't want to, get away with. Like, it's not a very good feeling, at least for me, because I'm very aggressive and very full of zeal when it comes to doing something or trying out something. And I always encourage people to go ahead and try things what they love, and give yourself a fair chance, and then we'll see what happens.
It's terrific. Yeah, you'll get on to your purpose.
Yeah,
probably.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about hurdles. I know you think that everything goes fine based on your story, etc., etc. But end of the day, it's a man's world, and there are a lot of women who feel that going and doing something or making a mark in a man's world is not so easy. Mm-hmm. What about your experience? And are there any hurdles that came because of that reason, or how do you handle it, or are there any other hurdles? How do you actually overcome them?
No, see, it's not that I have not faced any hurdles, but they were like not that big enough for me to not be able to deal with them in a certain manner. And like I mentioned earlier as well, like there were some people in the very beginning who were absolutely demotivating me when I thought of becoming a DJ, or when I was in the phase of doing my course. And I visioned myself in a very nice way in the industry when I was doing my course, and then these people coming and telling me all these things didn't really make me feel nice. Also, in the very beginning, there were a lot of people who were talking a lot of nonsense. When I started getting a lot of gigs in the first 2 years, I actually did another interview with one of my friend who is a DJ, and she had started off a talk show, to chat up with DJs, and she had asked me this question saying, Paroma, when you enter the industry, you blew it off. Like I just kind of took away everything. Everyone, and it just happened. Like I didn't do anything. I really didn't do anything. It intentionally, at least, it just happened. And if work comes to me, or if opportunities come to me, I'm not going to let them go. Why would I? So the first 2 years, it was pretty much like a lot of others were thinking that she's taking away my work. I don't know where has she come from, or what is she doing. Either she's absolutely doing some things which are unethical, or she's doing things where she's not even charging for an event, and she's doing it free of cost, that she can actually, how could someone just get so many events? People just couldn't believe it. But and because of that, there was a lot of talks going on about me negatively, and some even bashed me on social media. and that was very, mentally it wasn't a very, it was pulling me down.
Yeah.
Every time I used to see something or someone used to come tell me something, and it took me a while to let that be a part of my life. And today I'm here where even if someone wants to say something, I exactly know where to cut myself off and just not let that affect me in any way. No matter who speaks what and how, and whether it's verbally to someone, whether it's upon social media, whether I get an email abusing the, like totally like abusive language all on mail, I don't really care anymore. And I think it's just a part of the whole thing. You need to know how to deal with such situations emotionally. So these are some very big hurdles for me that definitely demotivated me in a lot of ways, and it took a lot for me to realize that I'm here for a reason, and if not to anyone else, but I would want to prove something to myself and be a competition only to myself, because I'm really not here to take away your work or badmouth you or do anything. And that's why I have like kind of, I just have the focus on myself. I'm not concerned about what anyone else is doing. I really have that name in the industry where people will give examples to someone who doesn't step out much. They give my example. They're like, you become like Paroma. And I was so shocked. I said, really? Would you really give that? I said, I'm happy, okay. But it was surprising for me that someone, a third person, told this person that you just come, you do your work and you go. And that's, we have a very selective amount of friends, and I just like to go out with them. And I do not, for me, friendship matters a lot. Whoever I make friends with, it's not just like professional friends or something else, but I won't call just one person who I've met like twice, thrice a friend. So that's again on a different this thing. So that way I just cut down half the topics to be spoken about me right there, because I do not go out much. I do not hang out with random people, and yeah, so that's again a very important point where if you ask me how do I manage to stay on the top, is if you focus on yourself, you automatically stay on top, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you talk of being emotionally very strong by yourself.
Yeah, and I've learned to be emotionally strong in these few years, because yes, it is a male, not so much now, but in the first 5 years that I was a DJ, it definitely was a male dominated industry, and I was probably, at least if not maybe the first 15 to 18 DJs, female DJs in the industry. Before me a lot came and went. So I'm considering those also. I'm very clear about what I am, what I want, who I want to be. I'm not clear of, but that'll come with time. I'm sure good things are in store. So far everything has been great, so yeah.
Paroma, we have a lot of millennials as our audience, and you're certainly iconic for them. Having thrown up your academics.
Am I?
Okay, you've gone into DJ, and you've been so successful, and I'm sure your story is going to be very, very inspiring to them. What words would you have for them, as they look at, pursuing their life and their careers?
Before I start off answering this, but I would like to tell them and you, I did complete my graduation eventually.
Okay.
So I'm no longer a 12th pass. I have majored in English literature and psychology. So, and that happened when I was DJing. So I did a correspondence and I made sure that it was all for my mother. She is like, I'm an MSc in microbiologist, you at least be a graduate. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, I just did it while I was DJing, and the certificate is just lying at home because it never came handy for anything.
It's okay. Yeah.
But yeah, to the millennials and to the aspiring DJs or aspiring, people in any fields of any kind of industry, basically, I really want to tell you all that please don't be impulsive in your heads. Nothing happens overnight, and you really, really need to be patient and give yourself that one try. Make sure that you give yourself you give 100% to what you have chosen for yourself. And if then that doesn't work, then it's fair, but you at least know that you gave yourself, and the thing, like what you're trying to do, 100%. Also, to the parents, I think they should let their children let loose, and just don't pressurize them. Like nowadays, it's more about the creative fields, more of art, more of, like not just the stereotypical be a lawyer, a doctor, or, or engineer or whatever. There are so many fields that are still to be explored, and I'm sure people can do wonders in that. I just hope that, I think it just comes from the parents first, because they want their children to do something, and then the children start off doing something, and then they will leave it either midway, or they'll finish the whole thing and then they will jump to something else eventually. So what happens is you wasted those years, because by the time you have chosen a different profession and now it didn't work for you, and now you're trying to come back to this, you've lost a lot of time. So that's not going to work. This hasn't worked, and you're like nowhere. So I just think that whatever you choose for yourself, just give it 100% and don't be impulsive. Be patient. Everything will work for you. Just be very strong in your hearts and stay focused. Just don't pull anyone down. Just try to pull yourself up. That's all.
So Paroma, I have written a book called Jasmine Builds on Shifting Sands.
Okay.
And when we hear your story, it almost sounds like Jasmine's story. She's a young girl who becomes a successful fashion model, and she goes through ups and downs, and then she learns how to become emotionally strong, and what it takes to get success. So I've got this book for you today. Okay. And before I give the book, I have written a few words for you, and I'm giving this to you.
I'm excited already.
So, DJ Paroma, a rebellious teen spirit, an unconventional takeoff to international vibes and colors. Grounded with heartbreak, future staring down to uncertainty and abyss. With none to lose, she takes up what she loves, mixing and playing with music, catalyzing the trance of revelers, securing a tryst with their soul. She weaves a magic and climbs charts. She strikes chords, glamour signs in. With gigs at IPL and Saregama, fans and followers multiply manifold. She keeps her ears to her music. Unconventional calling, enterprising spirit, grounded in devotion and self-belief, she stamps her mark in a man's world, reigning queen of DJ, Paroma in Sanskrit, the supreme.
How amazing is that? Seriously, how lovely.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Inspired by your story.
Touched, genuinely. Thank you. And I promise I did not read this book earlier. Otherwise, you'll be like, you've read the book and now you've come and your interview just sounds the same. Thank you. Means a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We also have done a graphic novel version of the same book.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we wanted this to appeal to the youth. So it's an adaptation of the novel, which we have actually turned in graphic terms.
Nice.
So here's a copy for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am very, very excited to read both versions.
And lastly...
Oh! This is so cute.
Do you recognize her?
Looks quite like me. Wow. How amazing is that?
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was wonderful chatting up with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for having me.